Hello everyone, my name is Cosmify, and Murder Drones is back. Kind of. In case you didn't know already, Murder Drones is teaming up with Oni Press and getting a graphic novel, comic series, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna first go over the main details and then mention some stuff that I haven't really seen the Dire Duck, A Cosmic, or Inferno YT mention because I was able to find more information on other websites. But anyway, they're teaming up with Oni Press, like I said earlier, and creating a retelling of the first season of Murder Drones. Now, there might be more to it than that, but like I said, I'll explain that in a minute. Glitch themselves has described it as a retelling. It's coming out for pre-order on September 8th and releasing officially in February 2026. Oh my god, dude, I'm gonna be an adult when this thing releases. Now, this is simultaneously the most and least expected thing that Glitch could have possibly done. It's the least expected thing because we're kind of already in the midst of marketing for both Digital Circus and the Gaslight District. In case you guys haven't noticed already, Glitch tends to follow a pattern of only marketing one show at once, and this is one of the really rare circumstances where they kind of have done 3 things at once. I don't really remember the last time that happened. And also, the comic itself, like I said a minute ago, isn't releasing until several months from now, so they've definitely brought it up earlier than expected. I can only imagine that the main reason they're doing this is because Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con at least, is just around the corner in about a week's time. However, this is also the most expected thing that they could have possibly done because, listen, Murder Drones is like the favorite child of Glitch Productions. If Digital Circus is Glitch's most successful child, Murder Drones definitely seems like the favorite child because, I mean, it's their first majorly successful show. Murder Drones is kind of what put Glitch into the spotlight in the first place. It transformed them from a much smaller studio into what it is today. Even Gooseworks herself said that Digital Circus would not have been possible without Liam Vickers and Murder Drones. I think she said that on the drawing stream with Jobby the Hong, and I honestly think it deserves all of the attention that it's gotten from Glitch, even though the show has already ended, unfortunately. But anyway, there has been some criticism with this. Not really that much because everyone, including me, seems to be excited, but the little amount of criticism that there is pretty much just people being concerned that this is going to be a lazy one-to-one recreation of Murder Drones just in a comic format. Now, the reason why I think this isn't going to be the case is because they've actually gotten a completely different writer and illustrator for this entire thing. Yes, you heard me right. Liam Vickers is not going to be involved whatsoever in the creation of this comic. The writer is going to be someone named Wyatt Kennedy. Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with who that is, but I'm sure they're great. And the illustrator is going to be Jo Mi Gyong. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. But anyway, if they were really going to do just a one-to-one recreation of Murder Drones' first season, I feel like they wouldn't have even had to have gotten another writer for that, and instead it could have just made some minor alterations to the already existing dialogue and such from Liam Vickers. But honestly, it's not in the vein of Glitch Productions to make just a lazy one-to-one remake of something that we've already seen before. I would expect that from the likes of Disney, but I would not expect that from Glitch Productions. And if we look at what they've done in the past, they actually have made a comic series for one of their previous shows. Actually, not a comic series, just a comic. But Metarunner, they made a comic for that, and rather than simply rehashing the pre-existing story, they actually went out, took kind of a risk, and told a somewhat new one by making it into a prequel. It's stuff like that that just separates Glitch Productions from a lot of other studios, and it just gives me more faith that they're gonna do Murder Drones justice when it comes to this graphic novel. But okay, anyway, I'm gonna get to the juicy stuff now. I'm gonna be honest, I did some digging around on other websites besides IGN, even though IGN is like the most credible, and I found that there might be more info about this than we're being led to believe. Now, I do want to make sure you guys know this is not confirmed like by Glitch yet. I just want you guys to know. I don't want to give you guys false hope, but anyway, here it is. So this website right here, there could be more like it, but it's called AIPTcomics.com. This one is just an example. It seems to suggest pretty heavily that this isn't going to be a one-time deal and that they have more things planned for the Murder Drones comic series besides just telling the season 1 story. Like right here, it says the partnership kicks off with a graphic novel retelling of the first season of Murder Drones, and then with more Murder Drones comics planned to follow. Like that language, it just sounds very peculiar to me. It doesn't sound like this is going to be a one and done kind of thing, you know? Now, also having to do with that, something that a few people, including myself, have pointed out is that the cover for the first issue of the comic is actually numbered, which suggests that there could be more. Now, a lot of people think that this just means that they're going to do one comic per episode and stop it there, but the language that some of these sources are using to describe all of this news are making it sound like there's going to be more. I don't know. Even if it's not a season 2, and even if the comic ends up just being a retelling and not having anything extra, which I think is highly unlikely, we are at the very least going to get to see the story from a slightly different perspective and hopefully with less plot holes. Liam Vickers, I love Murder Drones, I love your show, but man, there are a lot of plot holes in it. Oh wait, another important note, I forgot to mention this. The Kickstarter website, this is like the most official source that we have right now while we await more information from Glitch themselves, it specifically says, from Glitch Productions and Oni Press comes the heartwarming story of Destroy All Humans in one deluxe graphic novel. I should have mentioned that earlier. They specifically mentioned that it's going to be one graphic novel, so that kind of makes me think, even though that the cover of the comic itself is labeled as one, that kind of implies that it's going to be the first in a series. So if they're saying that this one graphic novel is going to encompass the entire series, which like the Kickstarter directly says that kind of all but confirms that we are going to be seeing more than just a season 1 retelling. The Oni Press president, that was too many P's, also said that it was a massive hit with fans who are hungry for more, which once again, that sounds like they know that we want to see more content and then they plan on giving us more than just a retelling. Now obviously, I don't want to give anyone false hope, I said that earlier, but I definitely think it's a possibility at the very least. We won't know for sure until Glitch tells us more though, and this could very well be a similar situation to what happened with Murder Drones initially, where they referred to it as being Murder Drones Season 1, even though Season 2 never ended up happening. Either way, nothing has been officially confirmed yet, but I'm still excited for this nonetheless. The Murder Drones community has been thriving even though the show ended almost a year ago, and I think this is a really good thing for the fandom as a whole. A lot of the criticism I've seen, like I said earlier, is basically just people being worried about whether or not they're going to bring anything new to the table, and I definitely think they will. I feel like a lot of people tend to forget that Glitch Productions has an almost completely clean track record when it comes to just generally being a good company and nice people, and an even cleaner track record when it comes to providing content to this platform, this god-awful platform that's littered with AI slop that's actually worth watching in my opinion. So I have no doubt that the same quality will be brought to the comic version of Murder Drones, and I can very confidently say that I will be reading and giving my honest opinion on the novel whenever it comes out. And I'm very confident I will have good things to say. I'm honestly really excited to see another person's take on what Liam has done, and I also think that if the comics were to expand into uncharted territory and branch out into something new relating to Murder Drones, I definitely think they would actually do a prequel rather than a sequel, because Murder Drones Episode 5, it tried its best, but it did not do a good enough job at giving a proper backstory for the show. Like, it almost did a good job, but then they just had to introduce Uzi, and they had to make it to where N was like simulating past events, but with Uzi in them, and it was all around just really confusing. And also, Murder Drones never really gave an entire like prequel backstory. Like, all we really got was that one flashback of N on Earth, and I don't know if you guys noticed or paid close enough attention, but there were actually several disassembly drones flying in that shot. There were more than 3, which means that there are likely more that exist besides just J, V, and N, and I actually would have really liked to see them. I don't think the comic will go that far in depth, but either way. So I would definitely like to see a retelling of that specifically. Oni Studios is also apparently the same company that's responsible for Scott Pilgrim, which tells me that either way, it's going to be in pretty good hands. Anyway though, that's about all I have to say. I want to thank you guys for the recent support on all my videos. So if you like what I do and you like the content I make, subscribe to the channel. We're really close to having 10,000 of us, and I'm honestly super excited to make more videos. I love Murder Drones. I'm so excited for this. But yeah, other than that, I'm gonna go ahead and go to sleep now. Bye-bye.